In my last video, I made a ranking for all the tracks on Empty Bliss Beyond This World. It's one of the Caretaker's most popular albums, behind Everywhere at the End of Time, of course. But outside of the albums focusing on dementia, this is where the Caretaker started back in 1999, with selected memories from the Haunted Ballroom. The Ballroom trilogy was all about taking music from the 20s, 30s, and 40s and making it sound creepier in a way. And although this isn't particularly one of my favorite albums, a lot of the tracks do still hold up, and I'm going to be ranking all of them. Starting with number 25, September 1939. This one is just painful to listen to. Now, I understand the significance of it. September 1939 is the year World War II broke out, and that makes it pretty interesting, and it makes the haunted effect more interesting. But come on, this is not a song, this is just pain. Not really much more to say than that. For number 24 is 1000 Memories. Yeah, it's not much better than September 1939. It won't make you go deaf, but still doesn't sound very nice. Number 23 is Thronged with Ghosts. This one sounds pretty hollow, not much to say. I guess it really is thronged with ghosts, though. Number 22 is Den of Inequity. Now, Den of Inequity has a really weird sound. What inequity mean is unfairness, but I'm still not really sure about what this track is supposed to represent. Yeah, not much more to say than that. Number 21 is In Days of Old. It sounds kind of nice, but kind of blends in with some of the other tracks, so there's not really much more to say than that. Number 20 is the Revolving Bandstand. For the life of me, I cannot figure out what this track is supposed to be about. It sounds like a hammer knocking on wood or someone stepping on creaking wood. It's very strange. Number 19 is Disillusioned. Disillusioned is another track that seems pretty calm, but that's about it. Number 18 is Moonlight Serenade. Sounds kind of creepy, honestly. And kind of haunted, but I guess that makes it fitting. Number 17 is From Out of Nowhere. No, this track has a really strange voice in it. You can kind of hear it right now. It does sound very haunted. I guess it's pretty simple, but number 16 is Reckless Night. It does seem pretty reckless. It's another ambience track. Doesn't sound too bad, although it should be known that Stairway to the Stars is the next album in the Caretaker's discography, and it moves a lot more into ambience, which I think was the right call. Number 15 is Request Dance. Request Dance is one of the most calming tracks in the entire album. It doesn't stick out that much, but still it sounds nice, which is good. Number 14 is The Haunted Ballroom. It just sounds like fog. Some of the other tracks are more interesting because they give off the idea of haunted better. I guess an example of that would be number 13, the second in The Haunted Ballroom. It sounds more loud and overall more interesting and more spooky than the first Haunted Ballroom track, which is why I like it more. Number 12 is Garden of Weeds. Now, the Garden of Weeds cuts out a lot, like Bedded Deep in Long-Term Memory from An Empty Bliss. There's a lot of jazz in it, from what you can barely recognize. It sounds kind of nice. And certainly unique. Number 11 is In the Dark. This is one of the tracks where he made the voices put in G major, which makes it sound really creepy. It sounds kind of unprofessional compared to some of his later works, but hey, every artist has to have their first step. This was his, and hey, it's not bad. Entering our top 10 with Excuse Me for Ladies. Overall, this one sounds really nice. Sounds like there's a helicopter in the background. Just based off the title alone, it really feels like something that would be in a ballroom. Excuse Me for Ladies. You can also hear either a tambourine or percussions in the background, which is nice. Number 9 is By the Seaside. It sounds pretty painful at first, but then it gets nicer. So yeah, if you can ignore the very annoying background noise, it's interesting. I guess the title's kind of ironic. Number 8 is A Handful of Stars. Another pretty calming one. Not much more to say than that. It does sound like something that would play in a haunted ballroom with all the echoing. Like the piano. Number 7 is Haunting Me. With a track called Haunting Me, you'd expect something more creepy or disturbing, but no. Just more ambient. It's nice. Number 6 is also very fitting for the name, Dream Waltz. In a sense, it does kind of sound like a dreamy midnight dance. Number 5 is A Summer Romance. This song stands out a lot. It sounds like something you'd play at a carnival fair, not exactly a ballroom. But hey, it sounds a lot nicer than some of the harsher tracks, which makes it nice. And there isn't really that much painful sounds anyway. Number 4 is Thanks. I really like Thanks. Maybe it's just the jazz or the fact that it's kind of upbeat, which is nice. That's all you want to hear after September 1939. As you can see, it comes right after on the track listing. Number 3 is Friends Past Reunited. It's the famous closer, Forever We're at the End of Time and Place in the World Fades Away. However, because it's at a different pitch, and because it's only 2 minutes compared to the full version of the song, which is around 5 minutes, which is used in the Stairway to the Stars and Everywhere at the End of Time, I think this is the not as good version of this track. However, it's still just as special. And I guess out of context it doesn't mean as much, but if you've listened everywhere, this is guaranteed to make you feel a little melancholy. Number 2 is You in the Night. Now, You in the Night is a very special track. The reason being that it isn't actually in the YouTube version of this album due to copyright issues, as it sounds very similar to the actual song, You in the Night, that it sampled from. The original song obviously sounds better than this, but this is still pretty catchy. And I think that the song works as just being a love song, but also being for a haunted ballroom. It's pretty catchy and also spooky like this. When the voices come in, it's also pretty weird. Now, at this point, I should know that I'm on Bandcamp, and this is the only actual official version you can hear this track. I just want to say Bandcamp, you don't have to pay for any of these tracks. And if that was enough, if you are an artist, you can like make albums here, and it costs a lot less. And besides that, it's a lot better for the listeners too to make an account. You don't have to pay for everything, and you get to decide your price if you're making music. I'm not trying to sponsor them or anything, but I am saying that if you want to listen to a certain artist, particularly an indie artist, you should definitely go with Bandcamp. Number 1 is Midnight with the Stars and You. The original Malvoli song is perhaps one of the most famous songs of the early 20th century. Even with the static noise, you can still hear the original song quite well, and it's very nice. This track is important though, because it comes from the end of The Shining, and also the Haunted Ballroom scene in particular. Both of these things inspired the caretaker to start this amazing project, which started with select memories and ended with everywhere at the end of time, practically everywhere at the place. That's why I think this song in particular is very special. It started off this whole thing, and I think that's pretty great that it started off this 20-year-long musical project, considering how many amazing songs we've gotten introduced to by the caretaker. So, thank you for watching. Now, I do want to note that I'm going to make a lot more caretaker videos in the future, and I know that's obviously not the usual thing I do. I usually do Nintendo videos, but don't worry. I'm totally not going to go away from this forever. Actually, I have a Mario Party Star Rush one planned, so there we go. I just want to make videos on the caretaker because the music really does mean a lot to me, and that's all I've been listening to anyways. So, thank you for watching, and may the ballroom remain eternal. Goodbye.